Welcome back, everybody, to Don't Get Your Hopes Up, the podcast about, I don't know, something.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm me. Mike's Mike.
Mm-hmm.
This is our show.
Yeah.
That we do absolutely every single week.
Each one.
Every single week. Every single week.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're gonna talk about things.
Yep.
And stuff. Okay.
I feel like we blew our load early in the
yeah, exactly. The intro started off too intro, and then I didn't actually know where to go with that. So it's been a really long week since the last week when we did this. There was about 3 weeks worth of an extra week in that week.
Mm-hmm.
I think last time we did one, it was like right after TwitchCon.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a post TwitchCon episode.
Yeah.
And then we came back and we jumped right into Destiny stuff. So we didn't actually end up doing a BlizzCon wrap up.
Yeah.
Thing.
So BlizzCon happened, in case anyone didn't know.
Uh-huh.
There was a BlizzCon. We announced some stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Classic servers.
Yeah.
And then like
So
some
that's
expansion thing or something.
Some expansion or whatever, yeah. So that was fun. Anyway, so EA. I'm tired of pretending like we're not going to spend this entire episode talking about EA and the shit that's happened with Battlefront over the last like week and a half. So I guess just for the sake of introducing the topic, Star Wars Battlefront, it's Battlefront 2, right? Is the actual title?
Yeah.
Star Wars Battlefront 2? Yeah. That came out, and you immediately saw people go into basically two camps. One camp was, oh my god, this game is amazing. I'm really, really enjoying this game. It's awesome. I'm so happy with this. The only person in that camp was Shizzle. Everyone else was really, really mad about microtransactions. It was basically Shizzle versus the world on Battlefront. And it looks like, honestly, the game is actually really good. I haven't played it yet, but I've watched Shizzle play it a bit, and it actually looks like it's really fun.
Yeah.
But people got so mad about progression systems and microtransactions. Basically, the way it boils down, there's characters that you unlock, and it's pretty much 100% time based, how long it's going to take you to unlock them. And so it's like the immediate meme was like the picture of Senator Palpatine from I think it was either the end of Attack of the Clones or it was really early in Revenge of the Sith.
Uh-huh.
I've only watched each of those movies once, so I can't remember exactly. But it's like Palpatine being like, from now on, you shall be known as Anakin. I haven't played for 40 hours yet. Like, immediate meme all over the place.
Yeah.
And people got really mad about that because it was like, we bought this game, but we have to play this game for 40 hours before we get to play the parts of the game that we wanted to play.
Right. And that guess time varies. Like, Shizzle has told us that it's only taken him like 12 hours or something, I think is what he said, maybe. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it was significantly less than 40. And I'll say that 12 sounds like a lot less than 40. So he says that he doesn't have a problem with the progression and all that stuff. I still feel like if that number was 12 or even fucking 10, and there's probably how many? I mean, just like a couple, in terms of like iconic characters, there's the one that they give, the new one they added. There's Darth Vader. There's Luke Skywalker. There's probably like Boba Fett and Han Solo, right? So that's like 50 hours that you have to play in order to unlock, 5 heroic characters or whatever. And I feel like I might be lowballing it a little bit, but I'm just, even if I am, 50 hours sounds like a really long time to unlock just a handful of characters, and perhaps not even all the characters.
Yeah, like it does sound like a really, like, thinking about it. I played Battlefield 2, or Battlefield Bad Company 2. Sorry, I played that quite a bit. Not like I didn't know life it or anything, but I played probably 80 hours in that, and I unlocked almost everything at that point. Playing 40 hours to get like a few things, that seems excessive. And I get like, so part of it, if you ignore the microtransaction part, which we'll get to in a second because that paints a whole different light on it. But if you ignore that, I can understand why a developer would come out with this. And this is kind of relates to what they were originally saying, which was, we want you to have a sense of progression, blah, 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 blah. It was not very well worded. It was not the best Reddit, especially on Reddit. Dear game developers, don't talk on Reddit. Just don't. Just don't.
Yeah.
It's just a bad idea.
Let me actually just go and grab the actual comment here, because then we could see, so I can basically read out what it is. So the first line is really the thing that resonated poorly with everybody. And just FYI, because I know people are kind of want to jump the gun and say, well, they did this and they did this and this. Yes, we're painting a picture of the timeline here. This is in the beginning. So the comment they left, which has negative 676,000 points. And I understand that it's, the more popular something get, it's cascades and everything. But the meme downvote, most downvoted comment in history had negative 26,000 or so. So it's a significant difference. Now it says, the first line is, the intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. And the reason why that didn't resonate well is because of what we just explained, how it could take upwards of 50 hours to unlock a handful of different characters. And that was, again, in the beginning. That comment exploded fucking everywhere. Absolutely everywhere.
So it kind of struck me as someone going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. We have to respond to this right now, but we haven't decided what, if anything, we're going to do about this just yet, because we've known about this issue for 2 hours. And it takes more than 2 hours for a game company to come to a decision about anything. Like, seriously, guys.
Especially one as big as EA.
It can take me like 3 weeks to get a decision on things. Just seriously. But like, so someone going, fuck, we have to say something right now. What can we say? And I think there's a point where you have to sit back and go, maybe the best thing to do is not say anything. I don't know that was this case. But I think it could have been worded better. I'm honestly not sure. It's hard to read into the initial comment too much from my perspective, knowing the amount of bullshit that can happen behind those sorts of comments that leads into basically having to try to say something without actually saying anything, because you want to do something, but you don't want to commit to doing something in case you can't do something. And
so I think that the EA community team was basically just briefed and trained, like I'm sure you've been, about whatever products are coming out, and maybe given like a list. What's
briefed
that?
And trained.
Well, we had to do it. Like when I was working retail, that's what we had to do. Is whenever we would have new products.
I'm being kind of a dick, but yeah. I don't get a formal briefing on anything. I get to go around and just hope that devs tell me stuff, basically.
Jesus Christ. Well,
it works, but it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look at their post history, it definitely reads like somebody who like a team, maybe, of people that, again, are like briefed on products, and maybe they have like a list of talking points for each thing. Similar to like when you call for any kind of fucking support at all to like Comcast or something, you could hear them through the fucking book. Did the customer say this? Go to page 393, section 14. Not saying that they're that, detail meticulous, but so I feel like they probably just, you know, I don't think that this was like one of those kind of answers that they just like that they felt like they needed to get approval for. They're probably just like, oh yeah, I was trained on this. We want to give players the sense of whatever, right? And that
and I don't know,
a sense of pride and accomplishment. And they're probably like, this sounds really good, you know. And then somebody was just like, well, wait, that's absolutely 100% not what's happening here.
Yeah, quite possibly. There's a lot of ways that sort of process can go. At least in my experience, it could be different at EA. I've never worked there, but half the time when you end up with these weird bullshit PR speak sort of answers, it's because there are like 30 people talking about it and no one can agree on what we need to say. So you'll have like someone saying, I really want to tell them that we're going to work on a fix. And then the dev team will be like, hang on, but this fix requires engineering work. And so we don't know that we actually can commit to that right now because our engineers are too busy or something. Or the engineering work could take like a month to sort out and figure out exactly how it's going to work. And then legal will be like, if you say it this way, then you're opening us up to legal risk because someone might say, well, but I've already spent money. Or, you know, like it can get into this whole mess where you end up with a ton of different stakeholders. And then what it boils down to is everyone can agree that the word "the" should probably appear somewhere in the statement, and that's about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So during this time, it was like there's obviously a lot of fallout over this comment.
Yes.
During this time, in a parallel dimension, Twitter, there's a guy who tweeted out saying that he was receiving death threats and all that. He said, he says, so I'm up to 7 death threats and over 1,600 individual personal attacks now. And yes, for legal reasons, I'm keeping track. And why, you might ask? Because of an unpopular feature in a game. And, you know, this thing popped up and, you know, everyone was retweeting it, saying whatever. Even I saw it and I was like, hey, don't turn this into, like, don't take a thing that we're all trying to fight for and turn it into gamers are dicks or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Specifically because of this tweet.
Yeah.
Well, of all people, Kotaku, investigative journalism department of Kotaku, Jason Schreier, I guess I'm gonna guess he's the only person that does this. But he did some fucking fantastic digging through basically everything of this guy's through this guy's history, and found so many inconsistencies in his story that it just made it feel like very disingenuous, right? Like maybe this guy doesn't work for EA. When confronted with it, the guy removed any mention of EA from his profile and put his Twitter account to protected, to private. Now, setting your thing to private that could be because of you're getting all of this, you know, all of this hate and everything. But everything else behind it, though, doesn't feel like it kind of feels like Kotaku might be right. Like maybe this guy never worked for EA and just made all this shit up.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. Like I was looking through the Kotaku article also. There were a couple other possibilities that that he didn't bring up, but I think might be possible. One is that he might actually be like a low-level customer service representative, because oftentimes those guys just get shouted at, and it's just because someone put in a ticket that was like, oh, I hope you devs die or something. Mm-hmm. And he might have been like, yep, that's a death threat against me personally because I was the one that answered the ticket. There were some weird inconsistencies in the article that he pointed out as well. Like the guy saying, I've only been at the company for like 6 months, and then in like a tweet like 2 months prior to that saying that he's about to get his 4-year service reward or something. And that's also the sort of thing that can happen if you're like, well, I've been working for EA for 4 years, but I've only been in this division of EA for 6 months and stuff like that. Like we've got people at Blizzard that like we've had people before. In fact, the community manager for Diablo is someone who
cat is attacking me. Jesus.
I thought the goblin just came in out of nowhere.
Holy shit, there's a cat on me.
And now she's attacking the other cat. Good. But she's someone that had only been at the company for about 2 years when she got her 5-year sword. And that was because she had previously worked at the company for 3 years. and then left for a while, and then came back and worked another 2 years, and so they grandfathered that in. So it's the stuff like that can happen.
Yeah.
But it is super suspect. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying, yeah, no, this is proof that this guy totally works at EA or something. It's like, I'm looking at it, I'm trying to come up with alternative theories, but it sounds like the guy either A, doesn't work at EA at all, or B, is in the sort of position where most of what he says is kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
That said, my initial reaction when I saw that tweet was, wow, those numbers seem low.
Only
like,
7?
Only 7?
What?
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't come to your house or anything?
Well, and like, the reason I say that is because when like, so I've had multiple death threats since being at Blizzard, and I'm in a very public position at Blizzard, so it's kind of expected. What with the nature of the internet, it's not okay, but it's expected. If you know what that means.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or if you know what I mean, if you know what the word expected means.
I'm not surprised I got a death threat, but it doesn't mean I'm not disappointed.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. No, I'm still mad. And like the week of Warlords of Draenor launch, I got probably 10 to 15, maybe 20 in that amount of time, because I was there was the period of time where I was the one posting on the forums being like, hey guys, we don't have an update yet, but all the servers are choking and dying. So, for a period of time, I was the person making those posts, and I was getting people like, you fucking devs, I can't play the video game, and I took time off for it, which I understand, like, totally. Like, especially if you're in a country like America where we don't get much vacation time compared to the rest of the world, like, if you take your week of vacation time to play the new WoW expansion and you can't play it for the first 3 days, you're going to be fucking furious, right? But yeah, like I got a bunch during that span of time, and that was nowhere near the reaction. Like the negativity around Warlords of Draenor launch was not good, but the amount of anger around it was nowhere near what EA is getting over Battlefront. So like, I saw this tweet and I was like, wow, maybe nobody knows who this guy is. And so he's just not getting that by virtue of not being very visible. He's getting away with the no death threats that way.
Yeah.
So it's like, on the one hand, I'm like, it's shitty if this guy was totally lying about working at EA and he wasn't getting any of this in the first place, because like, to me, that pisses me off, because it subverts an actually important thing, which is, Jesus fucking Christ, do devs get a lot of death threats over a video game? And it's the same sort of thing, like the other direction, like you mentioned earlier, like the concern about, okay, Jesus, please do not turn this into gamers are awful people who threaten people's lives over video games, because 7 people threaten someone's life over a video game, right?
Oh man, yes, I hate that. Thank you for saying that.
It's like, yeah, exactly, like. And a couple of people, like I said some stuff about it on Twitter, and a couple of people, most people seem to understand. They were like, holy shit, you get death threats over World of Warcraft? I'm like, I mean, yeah, kind of
course.
Like, yeah, like I've legitimately had, I've gotten the terrifying email, which is, okay, the FBI is now getting involved in this investigation because they believe you may be in danger. That was a week where I locked my bedroom door. It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
And they eventually like tracked the guy down and actually arrested him. Like it turned into a big international investigation. And it wasn't just because of death threats against me. He threatened a whole lot of people. But yeah, it was one of those, like, we actually believe he has motive and means. Yeah. So we need to bring this guy in. And it turned out like he had actually been looking into, like, he had bought a plane ticket level of holy shit. And again, it wasn't just me; it was a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so when I see this, it's like I saw that and I was like, oh wow, yeah, I should retweet this, because this is a thing that happens all the time in this industry, and people need to be aware that it happens all the time in this industry. And then it was like, Kotaku says it was all a lie. I'm like, fuck. Now people aren't going to believe that it happens all the time in the industry.
Yeah, exactly. That's the big thing too. It's like, because you could, like, what do you say? It's like, okay, well, that was fake, but gamers are still shitty, right? That's the attitude that I feel like people are still gonna have. They're like, well, that in case was fake, but it does happen all the time, and that just does not make your argument look very good. We know that it happens. We know that, like you said, there's like 7 people out there, you know, per whatever, per niche or per whatever, per capita of people who are going to, you know, do or say really fucked up things, because that's just mental illness across, like, just right there, you know?
Yeah. And it's mental illness that you have to treat as like, okay, this is actually a thing, because who knows if that mental illness extends to actually, like, is this person just they're all talk, or is this person actually going to try and follow up on this?
Yeah, exactly.
And people do actually, like, we've actually had at Blizzard, we had someone not too long ago. I'm going to try to be vague on details because I'm not sure how much I'm actually supposed to talk about. But we had someone not too long ago actually try to drive their car through our front gate. Like, the gate was closed, but he actually tried to drive it through the front gate to, like, push it open.
Wow.
And started screaming about how he needed to see one of our devs, and, like, got tased and escorted off the premises. Fortunately, at Blizzard, we have pretty solid security, but it's the sort of thing where, like, Jesus Christ, apparently my cat took a shit. It's the sort of thing where, like EA, I'm sure, is fine as well, but you imagine, like someone like Phil Fish, right? Who is an indie developer, who gets himself into shit all the time because he says stupid shit.
Right.
But that sort of person, he doesn't have a trained security force to keep him safe. If someone gets a hold of where he is and decides they want to go drive their car through his front door, like, there's a car in his front door. That's it.
We had a guy when I was doing the phone sex psychics thing. I think he was somebody who was pissed off about the psychics part. He was mad that it wasn't real. But he actually,
what?
Yeah, he actually found
it's not real.
Yeah. Oh God. He found our actual address, because we used a fake address, or not fake, but we used, like, you know, a PO box,
like a PO box.
Yeah. And then he somehow managed to get our actual address, and he actually came to the office, and he was fucking pissed because the things that he was told on the second line were whatever. But you know, we were a startup of 100 people. Like, we didn't have, like, any kind of security, you know? We had fucking Bob. We had part-time Bob working the front desk. And that was pretty much it. So yeah. Like, these things happen in pretty much every industry. Again, it comes down to the, like, how many mentally ill people per capita, per niche, or per product, or per whatever. So that guy, we don't know what happened with him. He locked his stuff. He removed the EA shit, and then basically disappeared. Meanwhile, EA stock is fine. Meanwhile, the story keeps picking up more and more, and EA comes out and they say, we're going to lower the cost of Heroes to something like 5,000 credits or something, when previously it was 20,000 credits. And that was, like, a huge thing for everybody. They're like, oh, thank God, that's awesome. That's huge. And then someone was like, well, wait a minute. They slashed the amount of credits that you get for finishing the campaign to 5,000 to match the character that you're supposed to unlock when you get to the end of the thing. And a good point was brought up that if those credits were intended to unlock this particular character, then why not just give you the character? And the reason for that is because they want you to spend money or spend credits on loot boxes. So when you reach the, you know, when you look at the character, like, oh, I want to unlock this character, it's like, oh, wish I spent all these credits on loot boxes because I thought that's what I was supposed to do or whatever. And then in order to unlock, they have to either play more or they pay to get whatever. And so yay, they lowered it, because once you're done with the campaign, which is like 8.5 to 12 hours or something, once you're done with the campaign, and let's say if you play for an additional 50 hours, the longer you play, the more insignificant that initial stash of credits becomes. So that's really just like a barrier to entry type thing, not so much a longevity thing. So they made them, you know, cheaper, basically. Some people were claiming that that you were actually earning less per campaign or per match or per whatever. Like essentially they lowered one, they took a little bit out of one hand, but they also took an even amount of the other. But from what I've seen, nobody's been able to actually confirm that. And this is, I think that was just somebody just, again, like fucking Big Sean 66 trying to be like, I'm getting death threats, you know? So we know that they lowered it. They tried to basically meet us halfway in a sense. But that didn't stop all of the attention. It wasn't enough. And the issue of the loot boxes and all that still persisted. And the memes kept coming, and more people started picking up this article. The fucking Huffington Post wrote about the most downvoted comment in history. I mean, it's everywhere, you know, like EA's this entire launch is everywhere. And it doesn't seem like, you know, they say, well, any press is good press. I don't feel like them getting this kind of press it may be bringing more attention to the game. So you're saving on marketing dollars, perhaps, or your marketing dollars are more effective. But it's absolutely damaging the brand Star Wars, a Disney property. And Disney, if you didn't know, Marvel Heroes is basically going away, not necessarily because it wasn't doing particularly well, but because Disney didn't like the deal that they had with Gazillion Entertainment. And I felt like when I saw that, I was like, is this Disney like flexing, like showing EA like this is what we will do? Like we will rip that IP out of your hands before, you know, because we want to or whatever. You know, pray the deal doesn't change any further, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So then I guess we follow up to like now, right? What happened today?
Yeah.
Because every single day is something new.
Yeah, exactly. It's been one turn after another. So today, actually only like a couple of hours before we started here, EA put out a tweet. I'm going to try and find it again.
I got it right here.
Oh, you got it? You want to read it?
Yeah, sure, I'll read it. So it says, as we approach the worldwide launch, it's clear that many of you feel there are still challenges in the design. We've heard those concerns about potentially giving players unfair advantages, and we've heard that this is overshadowing an otherwise great game. And then in bold, it says, this was never our intention. Sorry we didn't get this right. It says, we hear you loud and clear, so we're turning off all in-game purchases. We will now spend more time listening, adjusting, balancing, and tuning. This means that the option to purchase crystals in the game is now offline, and all progression will be earned through gameplay. The ability to purchase crystals in-game will become available at a later date, only after we've made changes to the game. We'll share more details as we work through this. And it's from Oscar Gabrielson, general manager at DICE.
So there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
I'm look at it from the player's perspective first. Like as someone who I don't play, I haven't played it, but I've watched Shizzle play it. I'm interested to play it, and I've been sort of like going, do I buy this game? Do I not?
Right.
All this drama around it. Let me noodle on this a little bit more. So I can see 2 or 3 different ways to take that. One of them being like they're just delaying it and they're saying, people are mad right now, so in order to increase box sales, we'll turn it off for a bit and then we'll turn it back on later. It's a bit too conspiracy theory and expecting a little bit too much out of game developers, quite honestly. But I can see why someone would think that's what they're trying to do. Most of the time, we're not capable of being that devious because it's just not something that we thought of. I could see someone looking at it and going, wait, so now I can't buy crystals, so I should have bought them last week so that I could be way ahead of everybody right now. And all the people that bought them last week are now way ahead of me. This doesn't actually fix anything. And I think that one's fair.
That's a there's no winning response. Like there's no winning. Like you're gonna piss off somebody. Maybe the question is, do you think that this was a good thing that they did?
So I think it is. And there's a really, really important reason for that, which Ryan Morrison actually pointed out on Twitter. they lose millions of fucking dollars by doing this.
Yeah.
This is them walking away from literally millions of dollars in profits. Them just saying, those millions of dollars in profits are not worth it compared to the amount of shit that we're getting right now. And that to me is like a huge, like, holy shit, EA actually did this? I'm sorry I misjudged you, EA. Holy shit. Like, that's the sort of way that I'm looking at this right now. Because when you sit back and you think about, okay, what benefits EA's bottom line the most? What benefits their bottom line the most is definitely not pulling out the microtransactions in their game that everyone says that you need to buy the microtransactions in order to be competitive in. Like, I 100% guarantee it that someone in finance at EA right now is literally shitting themselves.
Yeah, all their predictions and all that shit. Like, this is why I brought up the shares thing earlier, right? Because this is something that can have a significant impact on their share prices. And I say can because we just had a quarterly earnings report from everybody, like last week and pretty much the past couple weeks. So they have time to try to maybe restore balance to the force somehow, and basically balance things out. As of right now, their stock is fine. It's not doing anything wildly different. It was like 1% difference. But if you look at their history going back a year, they go up and down 1% like all the time. It's not that big a deal. Yeah. With one spike at the end of October, not related to everything that's happening here. That shot straight up. It might have been like when the first news of Battlefront started really hitting and everybody was really excited about it.
And the way that the stock market works, if you don't see a spike right away, you're not gonna like stockbrokers or people that are involved in the stock market aren't like sleeping on this news and going in like 3 days gonna like check their phone and be like, wait, shit, I should sell all my EA stock. Like, they know about it already. If they aren't already getting out of EA, they're not going to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, just looking at, okay, here we go. Just looking at the past year, they're up 50%, 44.91%. Past 3 months, they're down 3%. So, and then the past month, 4%. Past week, they're up 1%. So, yeah, like basically that all remains unchanged. But again, come the next earnings report, it could have an impact on it. But at the same time, their earnings reports are in like hundreds of millions. So even if this game is a total fucking bomb and doesn't make anything outside of its box sales and doesn't hit its numbers and everything, you got to remember that EA still owns like pretty much the biggest game in the world, fucking FIFA. So like they put out a FIFA and you may, if you're living in the States, you may not think that this is the case, but I promise you, like they put out a FIFA 2018 or whatever, and they have sold fucking millions of copies all over the fucking world.
Yeah, imagine how many copies of Madden get sold every year. And now imagine, instead of just being sold in the United States, which is the only country that gives a shit about American football, imagine that it's sold in literally every other country in the world. Because that's how every other country in the world feels about soccer.
So yeah, here's FIFA 2017 on PlayStation 4 only. 10.8 million. So yeah, just on that alone. Yeah. Madden, 3.28 million. So yeah. And also keep in mind, I'm fairly certain Madden is also an EA game, right? Yes, it is. Yep. So yeah, just because one's beating the other doesn't mean that the EA is not lining their pockets. So Battlefront 2 could potentially in the long run really just be a drop in the bucket, this next quarter. Obviously it's next year, surely, but this next quarter, absolutely.
Yeah, I think the angle you brought up earlier, though, about is Disney going to flex their nuts at EA over this? I think that's actually a really important one because, like, the question here at this point, to me, isn't really, is Battlefront 2 going to be successful? Battlefront 2 is already successful. It's already fine. It sold enough copies in the first 5 hours before anyone even knew that this was a thing that it's fine. Theoretically, I guess they could have somehow spent several $1 billion on developing the thing or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the amount of copies they've already sold, I'm sure, is fine. The question is, what does this mean for Battlefront 3? What does this mean for, I'm sure, several other projects that EA was like, yes, Star Wars immediately sells copies. did you see how many copies of Battlefront 2 we sold before anyone found out about our pay-to-win bullshit? Like, I'm sure that EA is looking at that right now and going, fuck, we really hope that Disney is willing to work with us in the future.
Yeah.
And that's probably, I think you're actually probably right. Like, even if Disney isn't necessarily, like, leaning on EA at the moment, and Disney's probably fine to just be like, what's this? What's this? Oh, that's right. We sold you rights to a video game or something a while ago. Well, whatever. Have fun with that.
Yeah.
EA is probably worried about it regardless.
Right. So so this is Ryback brought this up, and it's a fair point, but it's also pretty moot ultimately. Gazillions, he says here's verbatim. Gazillions Marvel deal was pre-Disney. EA is post-Disney. So there's a significant difference. And the thing is, with these kinds of deals, when you're talking about lending somebody an IP, right? Is you always leave yourself something that says if they start basically making Star Wars porn or something, you could pull out. Typically, those things are worded in such a way that allows you to pull out almost whenever you want, or whenever you feel like your lawyers can beat their lawyers to fight out over whether or not it was a reason to basically pull out of the contract. Disney is a super fucking mega powerhouse of an industry. Alone. If they want to do something, they will do it. And so EA, as big as they are, they do have to, especially think like, what if the contract is up for renewal? Well, if they just completely botch this up and ruin the Star Wars franchise for video games, a $1 billion industry, then how's it say Mickey Mouse? then Mickey Mouse himself will be like, fuck you, and pull the rug out from under them. So it is absolutely something that EA would have to worry about. Whether or not it has any impact right now may not have any significance now, but once it's up for renewal, or if Disney decides that their lawyers are bigger than your lawyers and they want to go ahead and rip it out from under you, then that's when problems could arise. So for them, it's probably worth it to just say, hey, let's go ahead and pause the money and then, deal with whatever.
Yeah. Either way, it's them walking away from a lot of money. The question I have now at this point, though, is, so what do they do with the game to fix this? Because they said they've disabled them, not that they're removing them. So the implication is pretty clear that they're going to plan to bring them back in the future. I think they even said exactly that. Like we won't re-enable them until we've made changes to the game or something.
Yeah. A later date.
Yeah. So what are those changes to the game going to actually be? I don't know enough about how exactly it works, but based on the discussions, it's almost certainly going to be something related to how do you earn crystal in the game? What is locked behind these things? I could actually pretty easily see them deciding to go more of an Overwatch route and being like, okay, so we'll have skins and stuff for your heroes. Like you can be Luke, but sometimes you're Endor Luke, and sometimes you're too short for a Stormtrooper Luke, and so on. And have those be the things that you get with your loot boxes, but actually just giving you the heroes up front or something, or going the Riot route and have a version of currency that you only earn from playing the game and a version of currency that you pay for, and having separate things be charged for those different currencies. I can see a lot of options there. I'm just really curious what direction they're actually going to go.
Yeah. And
or maybe they decide all of that would be too much work. Let's just lower the costs of things again and move on.
Yeah. And I have another theory. I thought it was something happened more recently, but I think something, and I realize you can't comment on this, and that's fine, but it's just, I'll just go ahead and go over the headline. It says, Blizzard gets into a legal battle. It actually doesn't say anything else about it, but basically, let me see if
just says Blizzard gets into legal battle.
I know. This article is terrible. So I think it was Germany, or let's see, Blizzard gambling. I'm trying to find it because I just read it today.
Belgium.
Thank you. Belgium. So Belgium Gambling Commission targets EA and Blizzard over loot boxes. This was posted 19 hours ago, right? We know that we know that, you know, with loot boxes have been a hot topic in terms of like, is it gambling? Is it not? The ESRB said it's not gambling, but the ESRB is not a gambling commission. Somebody who's done extensive work on, you know, gambling to build an industry out of it and to regulate it. And so there's all of this stuff going around. There's certain countries that don't allow certain things. There's like think of like China, for example, that require that the win percentage or the loot probability percentages be accessible to players across certain games. I think perhaps even some of your games.
I think Hearthstone actually has to say what the chance of every single card is.
Yeah.
Because of it's China or Korea, one of the two.
Yeah. So it says specific. It says the Dutch Gaming Authority also has now launched a full investigation into whether games with loot boxes should be considered games of chance. Essentially, gambling. Gambling is pretty strictly defined as when you put money into something with the potential to gain absolutely nothing back, right? But with a chance to win more. That's pretty much gambling, condensed. The way that loot boxes gets around it is that you are getting something of value. It may be shit, but it technically has some kind of value. And that's how loot boxes have essentially skirted gambling, but yet still give you the same like gambling type feeling, the same fix for some people. It's just not technically gambling. And we talked about this before with T. Martin and CSGO, whatever. And I went on a whole thing about Nevada Gaming Commission and how strict they are and all the things they do and everything, and how this is a huge deal. And you can't just go and start fucking making gambling sites out of nowhere, thinking that you're just going to get away with it. Gambling is gambling.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, it really just boils down to what does each area consider to be gambling, because there isn't like a hard and fast, like, it's not like trying to define what color is it, right? Like there isn't a clear, correct answer over whether something is gambling or not. The fact that there are such heated discussions about whether these things are gambling or not, I mean, those same sort of heated discussions happen amongst lawmakers, and then they decide one way or the other, and that's how it is. You see a lot of this stuff actually even coming up in things like esports, where in certain areas, certain games can't be... certain games either have to be free to play in order for players to compete. Like there are areas where we can't have World of Warcraft players for esports, because the fact that you have to buy the game in order to be able to participate violates some sort of like giveaway / sweepstakes rule that bleeds over into competitions somehow.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it's weird because, like, realistically, you also can't compete in a downhill skiing competition without buying skis. But you're not necessarily buying the skis from the people that, like, you don't necessarily have to buy the skis from the people that are putting on the competition, right. I guess.
Yeah,
so it gets weird. But for video games, yeah, there's totally like, if you're, I think Nevada is actually one of the states where it's like, oh yeah, sorry, you're from Nevada, you're not allowed to compete.
Yeah, like, Nevada comes up a lot when it comes to those kinds of things.
Which is funny because Vegas, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, so it's either, I actually think it's that more so than the angry Mickey Mouse thing. But that's not to say that the angry Mickey Mouse thing isn't something that's also on the list. Like they're somewhere on a whiteboard and like, all right, let's think of all the people that are really pissed at us right now. Every gaming commission across the entire world, Mickey Mouse.
Yep.
That's a whole lot of your fucked. Like if you can't figure out a way to make this all work, that's a whole lot of your fucked right there.
Yep.
So yeah.
It'll be really interesting to see where things continue to develop from here, because I highly doubt that this is the end of the story.
No.
By all accounts, okay, by Shizzle's account, the game is actually pretty good. And from the people that that are playing it and not getting caught up in this whole thing, it seems like people actually think the game is good. And that makes sense as well. If the game sucked, people wouldn't care that there were microtransactions and that the progression system sucked, because they wouldn't want to play it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, if someone goes, oh man, you could eat all of this shit, but man, it's going to taste bad. You'd be like, all right, well then I'm not going to eat the shit. And you just move on with your day.
Yeah.
But if it was like, you could eat all of this shit, but man, it's going to taste like chocolate. Then or you could eat all this chocolate, but man, it's going to taste like shit. You'd be like, man, I like chocolate. I don't like shit. I'm upset now because this chocolate that I was going to eat is shit instead. I'm really good at analogies.
That's really good.
But yeah, we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah. And just kind of on because it was mentioned earlier that Shizzle got in 8.5 hours he had like 35,000 credits, which is a much shorter time than what was quoted elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
But
I mean,
we have to hold on. We have to take into account that those numbers are probably like the lowest common denominator of players that can't fucking win anything versus Shizzle, somebody who is good at video games and who's probably not in last place. I mean, he's probably not in like the bottom 3 of every match. So he's probably earning like the top tier of credits per
especially
per
like
match.
A shooter. He's better than both of us at shooters.
No, not about me, but you know.
All right, well, he's better than you at shooters.
What? Fuck you. Rewards are based on time spent in match, not performance. Oh, I don't believe that at all, but I'll go ahead and take your word for it, Corey. I don't believe at all that that's the case. I don't believe that you can go in there at AFK for the entire match and get the same amount of credits as somebody who goes in there, busts ass, and goes objectives and everything. I just cannot believe that that's true, but I don't know better, so I will take your word for it, and that'll be that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I guess moving on to other games that we've been playing. We've been getting into Destiny again recently. Destiny, as I call it, because that's the name of it, as I've decided.
Toony.
Yeah, Destiny. Also starring Mickey Mouse, incidentally. And we did the raid on PC, and I'm curious what your thoughts on it are, because I had already done it on PS4 by the time we did it on PC. What do you think? Go.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because you already did it.
Yeah.
I thought it was beautiful. Like, really, like when you first, I have a screenshot from Tuesday when we went through and we did the raid. Right when we went in, I think the second time to go and get, because remember Shizzle like fucked up. Like we like instead of taking us to orbit, we like just kind of recycled back to the beginning. I have a screenshot of us like loading in, and it's just such a great shot. The design overall was just fantastic. It actually looked like a bunch of like Orc and Void shit from like Warframe. But it was still really, really good looking. It could be that it was on PC. Probably. More than likely.
Yeah.
The stuff that you guys are showing me, like kind of exploring around and like, here's all this stuff. Here's a secret platforming area. Here's this and that. Here's, all these places you could, and here's like a hologram that nobody knows what to do with. Like that kind of shit is so intriguing, right? I mean, the fights themselves were great. You guys obviously just told me the mechanics so that I wasn't sitting there like an asshole by myself trying to figure them all out.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Let's just pull.
All right, B, what do you think? What do you want to do?
Mike, what are you doing?
I know.
Why are you upside down?
Jesus,
how did you do that?
That has been a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
So I didn't have an opportunity, to have that first day, like day one raid thing where we're basically running around trying everything. But still, like knowing that there was like a hologram thing that shows up that nobody knows what the fuck that belongs to, and probably countless other things that are yet to be discovered, that is fucking cool. And, tying into the new DLC that they announced, the next thing of part of the season pass, essentially just adds more like layers, I guess, or basically wings of this raid. And part of me initially, I was like, wait, so it's recycled content? That's kind of what I felt like initially, right? But at the same time, having, just one time taking a lap around that entire fucking massive fucking facility. Yeah. I would be disappointed if what we did was all there was.
Yeah, and that's kind of like that's my sort of feedback on the raid also is I really like what's there. I wish there was more of it.
Yeah.
Like, I wish there was like a 4 encounter raid. Just sounds, it feels so flat to me. And maybe the reason they did that is because they're going to come out with raids more regularly or something, and they're just pacing content. Like, I can totally understand that. There is a DLC coming out in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Which I think has a raid in it. I'm honestly not sure off the top of my head.
That's what I was saying. That's the one that has the extra wings on this.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically more of the story to tell. Well, think about when we beat the boss, and I don't want to spoil anything, but when you beat the boss, there's the way that the story is kind of unraveling, and what he's trying to like tell you guys is almost feels believable. Like, he's trying to basically get you on his side, and the way that he pitches it almost feels believable. And then after you beat that boss, and then you go to where the chest is underneath the tunnel, and you're inside of that, that warehouse type thing with all of those things in it.
The thing with the stuff.
Yeah, the thing with the stuff. Yeah. Basically, the environment is very telling. It says, to me, it says there's like, oh shit, like this is like there's a whole lot more here. Almost figuratively and literally inside of that chest room. Like,
I don't
go ahead.
I don't actually mind spoiling it.
Okay.
I really, it's been out for like, it's been out on PS4
you're right.
for like a month and a half now.
I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Like the fact that you get down there and you just see copies of the boss you've just been killing, and in all the other encounters, it's just like, there's no like, it's not like you're fighting a named boss in the other encounters. You're just fighting like, here's a dog, and here's a bunch of randomly, like, here's a centurion, here's someone. Like, it's really cool because it sort of feels like, to me, oh shit, actually what we're fighting is a fraction of this guy's like limitless forces. Mm-hmm. And when we kill the Emperor, we didn't actually kill the Emperor. We killed a weird robot version of the Emperor, and there's going to be another one next week because he's going to keep testing us.
Yeah.
I actually think it's a really cool... Like, it's not a sustainable hook for, like, why raids reset every week.
Yeah.
Because you can't go into the next raid and be like, yep, and also there were 17 Atheons. But it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
anyway,
I'm looking forward to the next one. Hopefully we could all jump in there at the same time and just, day one that thing. Because I did enjoy it. Overall, though... I will say that the game is after you reach, I only have one character, mind you, but after you reach a certain point, you're kind of just like logging in every Tuesday and doing chores. It's almost like weeklies, like you just, I mean, they are weeklies. Like you basically you log in, you do your chores, and then if you're not doing the raid, then you just saved yourself like an hour and a half of chores, and then you go do something else for the rest of the week. Granted, it's not a game that you're paying for monthly directly. Or on PC at all, really. But it's a format that I both feel like, damn, I wish I had an excuse to go and play more Destiny. But at the same time, it's like, I have more time to go play other games that basically do the same thing. Like, wow, or I could go get in and get out and then go play something else.
Yeah, like I don't know. It seems like, so I have sort of two thoughts about it. One is exactly what you just said. Like, it's kind of nice, honestly, that like I've been getting into the RP streaming a lot lately, and I've been getting back into WoW streaming again now that like people know about things, and I don't have to be like, oh man, I really hope it's gonna be a good BlizzCon this year, you guys. Like, so like it's good that I can keep up with Destiny without having to like spend 3 evenings a week working on Destiny, right? Like when there's new stuff to do in Destiny, I can jump into Destiny and I can get away with, I don't think Destiny is a very streamable game long term.
Right.
Just because like there are definitely Destiny streamers who do well, but I think that tends to be partially about personality, and I think there's a sort of like a finite number of people who are willing to sit and watch Destiny on Twitch, and the Destiny streamers that are really good at Destiny and really committed to Destiny are the ones that get those viewers.
Yeah.
When I stream Destiny, I get like maybe a third of the viewers that I get streaming literally anything else.
Yes.
And so for me, Destiny is not a game that I can really stream much. And honestly, it's not a game that I could play much either. I would get bored of Destiny pretty quickly if I was trying to play it every single day. Mm-hmm. which is also part of why I'm doing the same thing. I only have one character on PC, and I'm just focused on that one character. If I really wanted to push that character, I could roll 2 more warlocks, but it's not worth it. But that just means I'm happy for the fact that I can, like, every week be like, all right, I'm going to do the raid, and I'll do 1 or 2 of my other milestones, and I'm just keeping up that way, basically. And that's really nice for me. The other side of it, I've forgotten what I was going to say. I had 2 thoughts, and I've forgotten what one of them was already.
I will say, just until you think of this, Gutzerker, it says in chat, it's pretty funny. He says, this sounds like Ice Crown Citadel. So yeah, it does sound like ICC when you talk about the different wings and all that stuff. Adding more, basically having one major hub of a raid, right? And then having like a bunch of wings or something. And then at the same time, Wrath, I believe Wrath was actually the first time we really started getting dailies and weeklies. Isn't that right? I don't think they were
I think daily quests, there were a couple of daily quests in TBC, but they weren't like important.
Right.
And I honestly don't think anyone realized that they were daily at the time. Oh, there were towards the end. There was like Skedis and Ogrela. Like there were those dailies towards the end of TBC.
Right. Yeah, so it's funny, like you combine those two things, it's like, how much of Blizzard is working with Bungie on this? Like, hey, we have a thing that works. We have a format that seems to work pretty well. But yeah,
I'll tell you right now, not much at all.
I don't believe you.
They're a different development team. We don't like our devs are working on our game. Their devs are working on their game. At like a senior leadership level, there's probably some element of like, yes, we're planning to release in this quarter, but that's the extent of the information that flows between the two. I'm fairly certain.
Yeah. Well,
there may be devs that have friends at Bungie and vice versa that are like, hey, there's this cool thing we're thinking about doing. Oh man, yeah, that's a good idea, but that's probably about the extent of it.
Well, I still have my tinfoil hat. So, fuck you. It's Titan, bitch. Destiny 2 is Titan, and I have proof somewhere in a document from 2011.
But Titan is Overwatch.
The stalker No, it was split in 2. It contrails the poison there and doesn't melt steel beams or something. I don't know. But yes, I put away the tinfoil hat now. Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, I never remember what the other thing I was going to say.
Oh, well, shit, I saw long enough. Next.
You did, yeah. So yeah, Destiny, it's fun. I'm kind of glad that you only have to spend like 1 night a week on it. And I'm looking forward to the next thing that they do.
Yep.
That's kind of that's how Destiny is and always has been for me, is a game that like I'm almost at the point where I don't even want to stream Destiny. I just want to take that as this is me time when I'm playing.
Yeah.
I still stream it anyway because I don't actually care about the success of my channel because I'm awful. But that's not true. That's not true. I think about it more than I should. Especially for someone who already has a full-time job. So, other games that we've been playing recently. I just want to mention...
This is such a weird and random thing to bring up, too. Just by the way. Go ahead.
It's a weird and random thing, but it's the sort of thing that, like, every once in a while this happens to me, where I play a game and I'm like, why do people like this? I don't understand why people like this. And that's the sort of thing that I take as, clearly I'm missing something. Not as, this game is bad, even though that's usually what I say. Because I'm usually angry, because I don't understand. And when I don't understand something, I get angry about it. Stardew Valley. I bought it on the Switch because I'd been hearing good things about it for ages. And I was like, yeah, this sounds like a game that I want to play. It's got that sort of like, just a little bit of gameplay mixed with just a little bit of, like story progression and just a little bit of character progression. I really liked the farm. I never played any of the Harvest Moon games, which was probably my mistake. But I really liked the way that the farm worked in Mists of Pandaria. That was something that was like, ooh, yeah, I actually would play a whole game that's this. I'd be really into a whole game that's this. And so I picked up Stardew Valley, and I cannot play this game. I just can't.
Good.
It's boring. I don't understand it at all. It's so boring.
So it is boring.
Okay.
But I'm still pulled to it. So I didn't play it much on PC because I felt like it was one of those games I'd rather play when I'm like chilling downstairs, like on the couch, right? When I play PC games on my PC, usually they're games that are like they require my like focus, my full attention or something. So like Cuphead, I'd play at my PC. I hate playing it downstairs. I don't feel like it's a couch game. It requires way too much focus. I'm not relaxed, whatever. Stardew Valley, don't like it. Don't like playing on PC. Fucking love it on the Switch. I'm in the middle of summer right now, which is probably a few hours of gameplay so far. But I'm able to just pick it up and just pick it up and just start playing every once in a while. I have a decent small-ish farm going right now, and I've not even tried to like hit on any of the ladies just yet. So the thing I like about it is that it gives you the game has a routine, and then you could try to start incorporating as you discover more things, other stuff into your routine, and then you can take parts of your routine and then figure out ways to streamline them. So, for example, you have your farm. And my routine is I wake up, I go and I water all the things, and I just so happen to have like 3 plants too many for like 2 full cans of water, right? So I do that, do my little morning chores. If I need some wood or something, I'll go chop a couple trees, and then I'll make my way to the mines, or I go fishing, or I go foraging, or whatever. If I go to the mines, then I'll go through there, and the way it works. Have you played long enough to get to the mines?
Oh God, no. I played like 3 hours.
So,
and I couldn't focus on it.
In the mines, it basically becomes imagine like Link to the Past style of combat, right? But at the same time, you're also like mining materials and all that stuff, like breaking rocks and trying to get copper and all kinds of whatever. And there's like random slimes that come around, and you have to beat them. The farther you get, every 5 levels of depth, you unlock another point in the elevator. So that way, the elevator at the top. So you could go and get in the elevator. When you come back, you get in the elevator and go right down to like level 10, for example. And so that part becomes, so what ends up happening is when you walk all the way to the mine, you go inside, you're spending a lot of time, and you're coming back at like midnight at the very last second before your character like literally passes out in the game. And then you wake up and you basically realize, then you go to bed and you realize you spent the whole day just fucking watering and going there. So how do you try to like optimize things? Okay, so the farm, you actually have the ability to put up like sprinklers. Okay, cool. I'll get sprinklers put on everything, so that way I can just wake up in the morning and get the fuck out and go mine, and I'll still have time to like do other things. I won't be in there the entire day. And then as you mine more, again, like I said, you get more elevator slots, and then you get like the there's the little mine cart that you could take, and it'll buzz you between, I think, your farm and the mine itself. I'm not sure if that's true because I haven't unlocked it yet. But there's basically all these different ways to essentially optimize and streamline your day. Meanwhile, there are these events that happen every once in a while that you can participate in to get to know the locals and the characters, which, by the way, they all have, you probably noticed, they all have like their own lives, basically.
Yeah.
And like you can catch them like actually leaving or going to work every.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what I like about it is that I can pick it up and just do a day where I just do a routine, or I can pick it up, and if I could give it more attention, I could go and try and do more things. And the game has been built with that in mind to give you tons and tons of things to do. Now you can wake up, everybody. All right, wake up. All right. So yes, that's what I think.
Yeah, I think I think this is a problem that I have with a lot of games. I think I just have short-term memory problems, to be completely honest. I forget what I'm doing when I'm walking from place to place in Stardew Valley. like it takes long enough for me to walk just from my farm to the town that by the time I get to the town, I've forgotten why I was going to the town. And that's a problem that I have when I'm fully focused on Stardew Valley. If I was like trying to play Stardew while I was watching TV or something, like I can't play a game while I'm doing something else. I literally am incapable of splitting my attention in that way. The only thing I've ever been able to do like that was like way back in WoW Classic, I decided I was going to level a hunter to level 60 by just grinding. I didn't do any quests past level 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I could listen to a podcast when I was doing that. But every once in a while, I'd have to rewind the podcast a little bit because I missed something that was being said because I was too busy killing something in the game.
Yeah.
I literally, I cannot split my attention that way. And so, like, I see a lot of people in my chat room and your chat room like, oh, yeah, this is the game that I play when I just want to chill out and, like, pop on some Netflix or something. I'm like, I would just be watching Netflix at that point. Like, I can't.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the routine part, though. If you deviate from that, I do it, too, where I'm like, okay, I got to go talk to the dude at the docks and see if he'll buy some of this coral for a better price I could get from throwing in the fucking bucket, right? And so it's like, okay, I'm gonna go do that thing. And then here I am watching Mindhunters, and I'm just like, okay. And of course, Mindhunters is a show that you have to fucking watch, you know? So I end up like just standing in the middle of the fucking field, and then it's like, and then the controller vibrates because it's like, hey, you're about to pass out. It's fucking midnight. So I have to like go back, and it's like, whatever. So if you do like your regular routine stuff, that's when it becomes, you know, something that you could do while doing something else.
Yeah, I like I say, I forget what I'm doing just walking from place to place. Like literally the reason that I stopped playing Stardew Valley was because I woke up in the morning and I did my little farming thing outside of my house, and then I thought to myself, I could walk over to town and that'll take 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Or I could do literally anything else with those 5 minutes. And so I ended up playing Sonic
Forces.
No.
No?
Oh, I'm going to fucking rant about Sonic Forces in a second.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I ended up playing Sonic Mania and finishing off Sonic Mania because I hadn't finished the last couple levels.
Uh-huh.
So Sonic Forces.
Oh, man.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. The thing about Sonic Forces that really, really saddens me is that some people probably bought it instead of Sonic Mania and thus have deprived themselves of an actually decent Sonic game.
Oh, man.
Sonic Forces, it's not bad, but there are so many things about it that I'm just like, why is this here? What's going on? Like, you have daily quests in Sonic Forces, but I haven't found a way to actually check and see what those are. So just every once in a while, it's like, you finished your daily challenge. And okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know.
So
it doesn't feel like Sonic to me.
So, there's a guy that streamed playing Sonic Forces, and beating it in 2 hours and 40 minutes, and also streamed him filing for a refund, saying, hello, I thought this was a different Sonic game and I meant to buy the other one instead of this one. And he got a refund for it. So I don't know if that necessarily speaks to the quality of the game, but 2 hours and 40 minutes just on any game to beat it seems kind of strange. I don't know the game at all, but I do know that Sonic Mania has been well received by basically everybody. When I watch videos of Sonic Mania, it's like, yeah, it looks like a Sonic game. It doesn't look like, Mega Man 3D or whatever the fuck they try to do. Universe.
Yeah, so there's kind of three types of Sonic games at this point. There's the actual Sonic games, which are like the original platformers, which Sonic Mania does beautifully. Mm-hmm. Like if you're like me and you think that Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles were 1.5 of the best games ever, because it's still kind of unclear whether it's called Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles or Sonic 3 and Knuckles, or if they're different games, or if it was weird. But that was one of the best platformers, definitely in my opinion, the single best platformer on the Genesis, and one of the best platformers of all time. If you liked that game, then you will fucking love Sonic Mania, and you should buy it right now. It's so good. And it's down to things like just the nostalgia throwbacks in Sonic. Oh my god, it's so good. Like, they do subtle things where they like the very first level of the game is the very first level of Sonic 1. And you're just going through it like, holy shit, I know this. I've been here before. I've done this. And it's like the same music and everything. But then like you finish that first level and it's like, whoa, Robotnik's up to something. He's fucking with things. And then you play through like, quote unquote, the rest of that level that you never got to see before because Sonic just ran off the screen.
Oh, that's very cool.
And it like changes. It starts off with the exact Sonic 1 music. And then it like does like a slight remix of that same music again, now that you're in the like fucked up version of it. It's really good. It's really good. There's the Sonic Adventure sort of games, which we haven't had one of those in a long time, and I'd be totally down for another one.
You're missing one then. You're missing a genre then.
And then the third one is I forget what the first one was called, but it was on the GameCube, I want to say. And it's the like over the shoulder from behind, this is basically Temple Run, but Sonic the Hedgehog themed sort of Sonic game.
Yeah.
And I guess there was a Sonic Adventure style one on the Wii U, but it was on the Wii U, so no one played it.
And there's also the fourth kind is...
Oh, yeah. Okay, yes.
Sonic All-Stars Racing.
Yeah.
Transformed, transmogrificated.
Yeah.
Which is probably the best kart racer on PC. And also,
on PC for sure,
also the only kart racer probably on PC. But no, like they definitely killed it with the Sonic All-Stars Racing. That is such a fucking good franchise.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like they put Sonic in a bunch of different things, similar to like Mario. But you know, not everything works just because you slapped Sonic on it.
Yeah, and the problem that they have with Sonic Forces is it kind of tries to be all of those. It's not really the racing. Sometimes it's kind of the racing. But like they do this weird, sometimes it's this weird alternate Sonic, which I guess is the Sonic that I like. Because when you're playing as him, Sonic controls how Sonic should control, and it's a side scroller, and it's actually really good. And sometimes you play as the voiced by the guy who played Steve Urkel Sonic, who is... He's totally cool, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna go fight Robotnik because I can do that. And he does the weird, like, dashing around in the air and targeting onto things and locking onto things. And sometimes that's a side-scroller. Sometimes it's from behind. Sometimes it's this weird, like, over-the-shoulder sort of moving around. It's weird. And those don't control very well at all.
Right.
And I get that part of Sonic is supposed to be that you're like always moving so fast that you're kind of on the cusp of whether or not you can actually control Sonic or not, because holy shit, he's the fastest thing alive and so on. But it gets to the point where it's like, okay, I died right here because my character ran off the screen and I couldn't see what he was doing. Like, this is a problem. This is not fun. This is literally just I ran into some spikes I couldn't see.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for that. So it ends up being kind of trial and error.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, trial and error gameplay has its place, but it just ends up being like, this is easy once I know that this is here, but I couldn't have possibly known that that was there. Like, Trials ends up being kind of trial and error half the time when you're like, can I finish this this extreme track or whatever? And it was... And that's good, but it's also hard to actually do that. You're like, okay, I think I know what I'm supposed to do here, and you're like trying it over and over and over again. Eventually, you get it. With Sonic, I died because I didn't know that there was I didn't know that a stop sign was going to pop up, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's annoying, and I'm mad about that game.
Well, I'm not.
But at least it wasn't full price.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. You know what I'm not mad about right now? I'm not mad about playing WoW.
Hey,
like,
it's a good video game. Everyone should go and buy it. #ad.
Sponsored. I started playing it a few weeks back. And a couple weeks back. Started a Hunter. I was just like, I got the itch. It was like last Monday or something like that. I got the itch. I'm gonna, get in here and just kind of scratch it a little bit. And it just turned into like, hey, I'm gonna try this Hunter thing. Oh, this Hunter's pretty dope. I went marksman in PvP, and basically just like stood there like a turret and just shot everything because nobody knew, hey, maybe we should go stop the fucking guy, aim shotting us all to fucking death. And then as time went on, the guys got a little bit stronger. I couldn't necessarily just stand there and do that to the point to where they're dead. They'd notice. And so today I switched to survival, and now I'm a fucking arms hunter where I just fucking just go in and I just start fucking overpower spam. Like it's all I'm doing is just wing clipping and just fucking mongoose biting and just all this shit. And it feels great. Playing that, just basically playing as a new class I've never played before. In current state. WoW. I didn't do the 60 challenge thing or whatever it's called that other people started doing, where they basically strip themselves of anything that could be considered not vanilla compatible, I guess. So like, for example, they wouldn't go get their mount until they're level 40 or something. And that would just be the slow mount too, by the way. So yeah, it's just been fun. Like I've really enjoyed it, and I'll probably keep taking it up to as high as I could get, and then I guess you and I are gonna do arenas or something, and that's it.
Yes.
And get Ludicrous Gladiator season. What season is it? Is there even a number anymore, or did they put it by expansion?
It's Legion season 6 is starting in a week and a half.
Legion season 6. Okay.
Yeah, it's like season 25 or 26 or something. I lost track of the actual season.
Wow. All right. I didn't realize that my accomplishments were that long ago.
Oh yeah. I mean, there have also been faster seasons for the past couple of expansions. Right. But yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I when we were talking at my place, the Airbnb at BlizzCon, for those who weren't there, which is basically all of you, Olivia and Laura came over to my Airbnb, and we basically just we ordered like pizza or something. I don't know. We ordered like a bunch of food.
We got halal, and it was good.
It was delicious, yeah. And we just basically just like chilled and just fucking.
I wonder if I can still order halal tonight.
And we basically talked about everything. And so one of the things that Olivia said was, she said, hey, if you need help setting up your mods, just send me like a picture or video of your old setup, and I could probably mirror it pretty easily. And I was like, cool. And so yesterday I went through and I started looking through like some old videos, my old RBG videos from season 9.
Nice. And
I found a video and it said TYE versus HIMVP, right? And then in parentheses it said Wreckful's team. And I was like, and now this is a video I posted, right? But I don't remember that. I don't remember saying that. It was like fucking 2011 or something, right?
Yeah, I remember this.
I was like, wait a minute. I know that name now. I didn't really know that name then. I knew who he was. I was like, oh yeah, he's PvP, whatever. And wow, he was, to me, he was just another PvPer that had a name for himself. I'll lump him in with like Pat or something, and I was just like, holy shit, like he's fucking huge now. And
yeah,
and here's this video. I was playing up against this guy. I just thought that was really interesting. Anyways, yeah, so I was able to take that and give it to Olivia, and she gave me a list of all these different mods, different from the ones I was using, but that would achieve the same effect. And I was actually able to set it up pretty nicely. So I'm once you get your mods set up, like that's then you kind of feel a little bit more at home, and now you're just kind of like, okay, yeah, let's keep going, let's keep doing more shit. And that's kind of where I'm at now. More PvP, nice. More all of that, and it feels good, man.
Yeah, I've actually been leveling my rogue recently, who is Horde. We're gonna have to figure that out once you get to max level. I'm totally fine to faction transfer one, but yeah, basically I have a shaman on Alliance side, and that's it.
I wouldn't mind. I mean, I wouldn't mind switching over at the end. I mean, my hunter is super cute, so I'll be a little upset about that, I think. But
I wouldn't mind going Alliance.
I'm down for the goblin ladies, so I could flip it over to.
Yeah, goblins are the best.
Yeah, so I don't mind the goblin at all.
They got the best racials anywhere.
Yeah. So I wouldn't really lose anything, I think, by switching over. So totally need a 110 alliance for. Yeah. So maybe I should actually leave it in here. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I mean, it's funny because I've already logged so much time, like 29 hours or something like that, and I'm at 61 maybe. And now I'm just like, okay, well, that's only like halfway through the leveling process. I still have to get to 110.
Yeah. Yeah, it speeds up, but
yeah,
if you're just doing Battlegrounds, it's going to be super slow.
Yeah, it's like Battlegrounds and mix in a couple of dungeons and such. But yeah, it's what I need to get. I didn't know this. Is I realize we're getting like super off track here, but just real quick, if you already have the Arena Grandmaster trinket on like a bunch of characters, all of them like 19, 29, 39, right? But if I get one more, then I get what's called a returning Grand Champion trinket, and that gives you plus 50% experience in Battlegrounds. That trinket alone would make leveling in Battlegrounds so much more worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
But I just need to get it. I need to find a way to get it. I'm like,
just gotta go get it.
Yeah, I just have to get it one more time. One more time. I've already got it like 48 fucking times. Just one more time. One more time. Oh man.
Yeah. So, one other thing that we talked about a bunch when we were hanging out at your Airbnb, eating like hero platters and stuff. I'm excited to talk about.
Yeah.
I feel like we should talk about. Should we talk about?
But wait, there's more. What one more thing?
Hang on, I don't think I actually own a turtleneck.
Do you want to say it?
Sure. So this is exciting. We're actively working on making a new podcast very much in the same vein as what we used to do with like Legendary and After Dark and Twemo and all the old like Game Breaker style podcasts, basically. We've already been doing some initial testing of how we're actually going to set that up. And it should be really, really cool. I'm really, really excited for it.
Yeah.
We'll do it more than absolutely every week, we promise. Like part of it is
that's part of the deal. Make sure, it's part of the deal.
Yeah, part of the deal is we have to we do have to actually spend money on it. So part of the deal is we have to actually commit to like a schedule and actually trying to do it. It's probably like it's not going to be specific about one game like Legendary was, not even specific to one genre like Twemo was. Although I guess towards the end Twemo was like, hang on a second, is Madden 1998 an MMO?
You could play with people from all over the world. We definitely pushed the limits on that, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, but it'll be along those lines. At the moment, our plan is to have Mike and I as the main hosts and try to get always have some sort of rotating guest host in the third slot. And we'll see where it goes from there.
Yep.
We don't have a name for it yet.
Yeah. We have lots of like, we're basically in the research phase right now. Like there between Josh and I and our DMs, there's like shitloads of pictures of what might look cool and all in terms of like layouts and design and just all that stuff. And also like what we definitely don't want to do. In terms of like layout and design and everything. So we want to make it basically, we love DigiWho. We think DigiWho is great because the whole point of it is that we could just get on and we could go on tangents and we could do all this shit. But there is something to say about having Gary like just basically be the ringleader and just kind of keep us from deviating too far. Is it that it made it a more concise show? We still had our opportunities to fuck off, but we at least were able to keep it relatively tight. And that's kind of what I feel like we're missing in what we need in another show. That's what we thought we needed in another show. Something a little bit more concise, a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Don't Get Your Hopes Up is great, and I'm sure we'll still have DigiWho's from time to time. But part of what makes DigiWho great, I think, is the completely off the cuff sort of like we completely half-assed this, and it's clear that we completely half-assed this sort of angle to it. Like, it's just sort of, we turn on the mics and we just talk about shit.
Yeah.
And that's about it. The plan is not to kill off DigiWho with this necessarily. It may, I'll be honest, it may happen as a result of doing this other show, just because we end up talking about everything that we would talk about in DigiWho on the other show. But yeah, we're talking webcams, we're talking panels, we're talking, we've been talking about different ways to get chat involved with the show, and just basically trying to, because in a lot of ways we sort of pioneered, I think, this probably sounds like a dick thing to say, but we sort of pioneered what the modern Twitch live streamed talk show is like. And there's a lot of stuff that a lot of those shows do that we, or don't do, that we used to do. And it's like, hey, you know what? Maybe we might still be good at this. Let's give it a try. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. The production that we did on that show is still not done with even some of the biggest shows.
Yeah.
And also the conciseness of the shows. Like, it was very rare that we went over an hour with any of those shows, Twemo, Legendary, all that stuff. And with like DigiWho, we go on forever, right? We go up, almost every episode is over an hour.
Yeah, we're at like almost an hour and a half right now.
Yeah. Co-optional podcast, 3 hours. Every other fucking random podcast, 3 hours, 2 hours. We want something that people can squeeze into the schedule, that it's going to have full production. You know, we're going to use webcams. We're going to use, like, so you can see your face. We're going to have guests. And again, like Laura said,
we have a few guests already confirmed as well. Like, I see a few people mentioning, like, will Olivia be around? Yes, she's already confirmed. She doesn't want to do it all the time. Her schedule doesn't really permit it either way. But she's confirmed as a potential third guest from time to time.
Yeah. So,
sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's fine. No, so yeah, we do want to basically bring it back to the roots.
Yeah.
And go from there.
Yes, and I see Fomio in your chat asking, why not continue calling it DigiWho? Because we want you to get your hopes up, because we've got ours.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. We want you to get your hopes up on this one.
Yeah,
because we want to be able to meet them.
Yeah. So that's I'm super excited for that. Current plan is that in terms of distribution, is that when we do the live show, we'll do that on my channel, and then the VODs will live on Mike's YouTube channel. So that way we get to split that a little bit. Yeah. That's current plan. We may revisit that in the future.
It's also good for bandwidth for me, like, because I'll be sending you video and all that shit. That was kind of the point. Is like, we're going to be basically both kind of shouldering some of the load, so we want to make sure that it's crisp. Like, one of the issues that we had with Game Breaker was eventually someone's camera would go all to robot and shit, like pixel, like lore. Like, your internet was so shitty, like you would go to 8-bit lore. And so that's right away. It's like, okay, how do we avoid that? Well, maybe I shouldn't choke my up with, both streaming and with this. So it makes sense for you to stream it. And I just send you the video. Cause if you turn to 8-bit lore, to me, that doesn't fucking matter,
Yeah. Well, and let's be honest, my internet is a lot better now
than it was 2011.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely. Like, trying to get this together. Really, really excited about it. We're still talking about different stuff that we can do, talking about different ways that we can use different layouts and stuff to make it all happen. And frankly, we have the equipment that we have available to us nowadays is so much better than what we had back then. And with what we were able to make happen with what we had back then, like, compared to what we were able to make happen with what we had back then, I'm really excited about what we can do nowadays.
Yep.
Like, I was really excited the other day when we were doing some testing to find out that I can play a video and the other people on the podcast will be able to hear the video. Yeah. Which, by the way, we could never do.
Yeah, we can never do that without some kind of feedback loop.
Yeah, exactly. Like, whenever we were watching like a new game trailer or something that just came out, all of us would have to like open it in a separate window and listen to it on our end, because only Gary could actually hear the audio. So I was like,
and if Gary paused it to talk about it, then we would just lose sync entirely.
Oh yeah, just gone entirely. Yeah. This is why most of the time, like, if he put he used to, there was a couple times he would like put the video in like the fourth panel area, and we would just be sitting there like staring, like,
yeah,
okay,
can't hear anything,
no reaction whatsoever because we have no idea what's going on.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm super excited. We don't know yet when it's going to be starting. There's still a lot of groundwork to get done. But hopefully soon, TM.
There you go.
Yeah. So there we go, guys. I guess we're done.
Yay.
Good job, us.
See you next week.
I ordered halal, guys.
Lol. Guys.
Nah.